Now, that's a photograph of me taken in last year at the Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. They've got this huge stainless steel model of Mothman in the town, which is pretty cool. I guess it's, as you can see, it's probably about 10 feet tall with the wings and the glowing red eyes as well. And it's sort of pretty good, image of Mothman. And Mothman was this creature that was seen in the town of Point Pleasant in the mid to late 60s, and was associated with the collapse of the town's Silver Bridge, which killed dozens of people who were driving across the bridge at the time. And it was made into a movie in 2001 with Richard Gere, which was basically, it sort of told the story, it sort of summarised the facts, and obviously being a movie, it sort of took a few liberties as well. But it's a pretty good atmospheric film. And I guess the best treatment of the story is John Keel's book, The Mothman Prophecies. Well, as I said, this was in the 1960s, but long before Mothman was on the scene, there was a creature known as the Houston Batman, which was seen in Houston. And the Houston Batman, it kind of sounds like something straight out of a comic book, but not for the witnesses at least. This was the summer of 1953, and one particular area of town where the houses, the homes, the apartments, they didn't have really much air conditioning, and 3 people in particular stayed up late one night, just couldn't sleep, it was just too hot, and they were sitting on the porch, and they saw something very much like that, literally sort of spring into view, sort of looming on a large branch of a tree, and it was described as humanoid with a large pair of wings. Now, what that should be, nobody really knows. I mean, if you look throughout history, you can find stories of winged humanoids, things like harpies, gargoyles, that kind of thing. And maybe things like the Mothman and the Houston Batman, they could be sort of modern incarnations of these older mysteries. The big question is, what are they? Again, are they something that's flesh and blood? Are they something supernatural? We don't really know. But one of the strange things about these creatures is that very often the wings aren't in the proportion that you would expect to allow something of this size to get into the air. For example, you have humanoid forms like that, where the wingspan may be only sort of 7 to 8 feet. If a human had wings, we wouldn't be able to take to the air with wings that are just out to here. The proportion of the weight of a person would require much larger wings. So that's one of the stranger aspects about them. But these reports in Houston, they still continue. Again, to go back to Ken Gerhard, Ken wrote a book a couple of years ago called Encounters with Flying Humanoids, and he includes an entire section in his book on the Houston Batman. And he talks about latter-day sightings in the area as well. And I got one about 3 or 4 years ago from someone who'd seen something almost identical to the Houston Batman around about 2006. And this was on one of the highways between Austin and San Antonio. And the guy described it as pretty much like a large man-like figure, these huge leathery type wings. Again, the witnesses come across totally credible, and it's difficult to sort of reconcile it with the fact that they have actually seen that. There's not really any way you can mistake a large humanoid figure with wings for anything else. It's either that or it's nothing at all.